The 10 largest marathon events in the world. The expression, "life is a marathon, not a sprint," essentially tells one to proceed through the journey of life at an even pace, experience all that you can, and have something left for the finish. That is also the strategy behind running a marathon. And while many of us have aspired to participate in marathons, or half marathons, either as a mid-life crisis or the annual New Year's resolution, not many of us have the lasting power to stick with it. Those of you who have attempted a marathon can attest to how physically and mentally demanding running local marathons and half marathons are. It takes intense training, a tremendous amount of cardio, and a strong will. Imagine how infinitely more taxing it would be on the body, mind, and soul to run in the world's largest marathons. This video will highlight the top 10 largest marathon events in the world based on the criteria of the size of the field, the length of the race, and of course the speed times records. The first 6 on this list are the largest marathons in the world and are part of the Abbott World Marathon Majors (AWMM). 1. Boston Marathon. As marathons go, the Boston Marathon, first held in 1897, is the king of them all for various reasons in addition to the traditional criteria. For starters, the event is held annually on Patriots' Day, the third Monday of April, an annual event, formalized as several state holidays, commemorating the battles of Lexington and Concord, and the Battle of Menotomy, the first battles of the American Revolutionary War. How about the size of the Boston Marathon? Every year, the legendary race welcomes approximately 500,000 participants, daring them to test their guts and determination. The course takes place through several cities in Boston and eastern Massachusetts. That is correct, the race goes through cities and winds up in Boston. The course runs 26 miles and 385 yards, 42.195 kilometers. It consists of winding roads, and the 4 Newton Hills, which make the race one of the most difficult in the world. The last hill and most difficult, even has its own nickname, Heartbreak Hill. This mini-mountain has an ascent over 0.4 miles 600 meters, and although it only rises to 88 feet 27 meters, it is most challenging because the race trends mostly downhill, until there. Add to the fact that most runners are hitting the wall, sudden fatigue and loss of energy from depleted glycogen, which is stored in the liver and muscles. The Masters division has the most elite level of talent in the race. John Campbell of New Zealand set the men's record in 1990, finishing with a time of 2 hours 11 minutes and 4 seconds. Faria Sultanova-Zhdanova, of Russia, holds the current women's record after crossing the finish line with a time of 2 hours 27 minutes and 58 seconds, in 2002. 2. London Marathon. Established in 1981 by 2 athletes, Chris Brasher and John Disley, the London Marathon makes its way through London, United Kingdom, and usually falls in April. The course is mostly flat, but do not underestimate the physical accomplishment of completing the race, particularly for the winners and record setters. The London Marathon has seen an increase in the numbers of participants over the years since its inception in 1981, climaxing with over 400,000 in 2019. The 2020 race tentatively has been rescheduled for October 4, 2020, due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It is expected to break its own record with over 450,000 participants expected to run the streets of London this fall. The actual course is spread over 26.219 miles, 42.195 kilometers, over mostly flat terrain. With different levels to challenge the runners, the elite level record holder for the men is Eliud Kipchoge of Kenya, who made himself famous with a time of 2 hours 2 minutes and 37 seconds in 2019. The queen of the elite females is Paula Radcliffe of Britain, who set the record in 2003 with a finish time of 2 hours 15 minutes and 25 seconds. 3. New York City Marathon. The NYC Marathon crosses all 5 boroughs, over the same amount of distance as its cousin in London, 42.195 kilometers, 26.219 miles. It was first held in 1970, and takes place on the first Sunday of November. The number of participants is not as important as the statistic that this marathon set the record for the amount of finishers in 2019 with 53,627 runners crossing the finish line. Geoffrey Mutai of Kenya set the men's record in 2011 with a time of 2 hours 5 minutes and 5 seconds. Margaret Okayo, a past winner in the NYC Marathon, Boston Marathon, and London Marathon, ran a time of 2 hours 22 minutes and 31 seconds in 2003. The NYC Marathon has run without fail every year since 1970, except for 2012, when Hurricane Sandy forced the race's cancellation. 4. Berlin Marathon. The Berlin Marathon was conceived in 1974, and is the same distance as the London and NYC marathons. It takes place annually during the last weekend of September, less a few interruptions. In 2000, it conflicted with the Summer Olympics Marathon, and was held earlier in an effort not to compete with the Day of German Unity preparations in 2018. The Berlin Marathon set its own record for finishers in 2019 with 44,064 men and women running the streets of Berlin. Before unification, the marathon was limited to only West Berlin. Only on September 30, 1990 were athletes able to run through the Brandenburg Gate, and the unified city saw its first race running through both halves. It was reported that a great many of the runners had tears in their eyes as they ran through the gate. If you were paying attention, you will recognize the men's record holder, Kenyan Eliud Kipchoge. Kipchoge set the record in 2018, and his time of 2 hours 1 minute and 39 seconds is a world record. Fellow countrywoman, Gladys Chirono holds the women's record after recording a finishing time of 2 hours 18 minutes and 11 seconds in 2018. 5. Chicago Marathon. Held every October in Chicago, this marathon, originating in 1977, is the fourth largest with the number of finishers worldwide. The Chicago Marathon is limited to only 45,000 participants, and only finishers within 2.5 hours are officially timed. In Chicago, the race takes place through a loop, starting and ending at Grant Park. Although the marathon is run on a sort of set track, it still is as long as the NYC and London marathons. 6. Tokyo Marathon. The Tokyo Marathon is a baby in age compared to its 5 cousins in the AWMM, having only been born in 2007. In 2019, the race had the highest level of participation with 330,271 runners. The actual length of the race is unknown, but the course of the full marathon starts at the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building, and ends at Tokyo Station. There are 3 divisions, full, half, and 10K races, but for the purposes of this video, the focus will be on the elite men and women who set records in the full marathons. Wilson Kipsang of Kenya set the full marathon record in 2017 with a time of 2 hours 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Lona Chimtai Salpeter of Israel set the women's record on March 1, 2020. Only the elite men and women were allowed to run in this race due to the COVID-19 virus pandemic of 2020. 7. Paris International Marathon. Since it debuted in 1976, the Paris International Marathon has been limited to 50,000 runners, reaching a total of 49,155 in 2019. The distance of 40 kilometers was chosen as it was the distance separating marathon from Athens. The current distance of the race is 42.195 kilometers, which the IAAF established in 1921 as the standard length of a marathon, following the 1908 Olympic race in London. The race starts at the Champs-Élysées and finishes on the last 200 meters on the Avenue Foch. Kenenisa Bekele of Ethiopia holds the crown for the men after finishing the 2014 marathon in 2 hours 5 minutes and 4 seconds. On the women's side, Purity Cheretich Ryanoripo of Kenya holds the record with her time of 2 hours 20 minutes and 55 seconds, which she set in 2017. 8. Dubai Marathon. The Dubai Marathon has been around since 2000 and takes place annually in January. This race follows the standard for the distance of most marathons, 42.195 kilometers. While there are only 2,000 runners every year, it is the prize for a world record and first-place finish $1 million and $250,000 respectively, that puts this event among the best and most elite marathons in the world. The record holders for the Dubai Marathon are Getane Mola of Ethiopia, who set the race record of 2 hours 3 minutes and 34 seconds in the men's division, and Ruth Chengetich of Kenya holds the record for the women with a time of 2 hours 17 minutes and 8 seconds. 9. Amsterdam Marathon. Version 1.0 of the Amsterdam Marathon actually began in 1928 during the Summer Olympics, held in, you guessed it, Amsterdam. The Amsterdam Marathon opened itself up internationally in 1975, following the footsteps laid down by the major marathons. The Amsterdam edition is 42.195 kilometers in length. The road race has a gold label designated by the IAAF. In 2019, there were 13,596 runners. Lawrence Cherono of Kenya set the men's record for the course in 2018 with a time of 2 hours 4 minutes and 6 seconds. Dagitu Azimara Asaris of Ethiopia set the women's marker in 2019 with a great time of 2 hours 19 minutes and 26 seconds. 10. Toronto Waterfront Marathon. One of only 5 IAAF Gold Label races in all of North America, the Toronto Waterfront Marathon, was established in 2000. Of note, it is a completely different event than the Toronto Marathon, which is a qualifier for the Boston Marathon. Starting at University Avenue and Queen Street, the race runs along the scenic waterfront of Toronto, before ending up at City Hall. A few nuances to the Toronto Waterfront Marathon that set it apart from the other races are, the start horn will sound at 8:45 a.m. and the course will remain open until 3:15 p.m. The course time limit for the marathon will be 6 hours, which will begin after the last wave of participants crosses the start line at 9:15 a.m. Runners will be required to maintain an average pace of 8.5 minutes per kilometer. Participants who are unable to reach the 30K mark at Lakeshore Boulevard and Coxwell Avenue by 1:30 p.m. will be short-turned and will not have the opportunity to complete the marathon distance, and participants who are unable to reach the 39K mark at Eastern Avenue and Broadview Avenue by 2:45 p.m. will be moved off the course. The roads will be reopened at this time, and if you choose to continue on the sidewalk, you will be doing so as a pedestrian without any further race support. There you have it, the best of the best. The top 10 largest marathon events in the world. It is an actual fact that the AWMM are the 6 biggest marathons on the planet, and the other 4 on the list can be debated for their participant-level statistics perhaps, but the elite level of competition, distances of the courses, and the backing of the IAAF gives them the clout they need to make the list.